What's up, everybody? I want to go over the basic Muay Thai weapons on the heavy bag today. Now, keep in mind there's a lot of correct ways to do stuff, so don't get too fixated on the details. We just want to try to get some good movement going. Initially, what you should be thinking about, rather than speed, power, that sort of thing, think about your balance, think about your breathing, and think about your range. If you can get those three things down, you'll be much better off. So first thing I want to do is work on my jab. Basic Muay Thai jab. I'm going to have hands high. I'm going to step forward with that lead foot. I'm going to turn my fist over and I'm going to guard up with the other hand. While I throw this punch, I exhale. So I'm pushing my weight forward into this punch, okay? So on the punching bag, I want to make sure that I'm slightly out of range and I want to be able to clear that range with one step. So I'm out of range, moving, got rhythm, step. Out of range, step, back out of range, step, back out of range. Now you can step in and stay there if your plan is to close the distance, but if I'm playing the jab game, I want to be out of range, in range, back out of range. Make sure you're breathing, so balance, breathing, range, balance, breathing, range, okay? So next, we have the straight punch, the rear hand. So I like to usually use the jab to set this up, but on its own, I'm going to step forward and slightly to the outside. And as I do that, my weight transfers forward, body rotates, I stay guarded here. I bring this hand closer to the target, allow my hip and foot to turn over, fire it straight out, bring it back in. Step, punch. Now balance, breathing, range, right? So just like the jab, I don't want to stay here in range where I'm getting hit. I want to be out of range, I want to have my rhythm, good balance, step in, come back out. Step in, come back out. Step in, come back out. Simple as that. Now you can use the jab to set up the straight. Step one, step two. And I'm coming to that inside angle slightly. All right, next I want to throw lead hook punch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step off the line, load my weight on this lead leg. I'm going to spring off the ground to rotate my body. And I'm going to throw it forward roughly at a 45-degree angle. So in Muay Thai, your hooks and uppercuts are long punches. They're long range, not super tight, okay? So I'm out of range, step in, push into it. Balance, breathing, range, all that. Now you can set this up with the right hand. Your weight's already loaded here. Throw that hook. Muay Thai punches are generally heavy, so we're not going to be throwing large combos. We're going to make sure to try to knock the person off balance with every hit. So you can throw it on its own. You can set it up with the right. You can even set it up with some head movement. Movement's all the same. So you're stepping in, pushing off the lead leg. And you don't want to open up that arm too early, right? Straight to the target, staying guarded up here, okay? Next we have our uppercuts. Just like the hooks, we want long range on this. So I'm gonna be guarded with my left, my right is gonna extend up and out. So I'm gonna do the same footwork that I would with the straight punch. I'm gonna be throwing it up from below, okay? Over here, step, weight comes forward, hip turns from the guard, up and out. Okay. Now it's hard to do on a heavy bag. Sometimes you gotta kind of stab it more straight in rather than up, but you'll get the idea. Remember, Muay Thai punches are heavy and they're long range, okay? So we got our jab, our straight, our hook, and our uppercut. All from fairly far away from the ideal range. Next thing you need to learn about, elbows. I'm gonna teach you the basic elbows. It's the round elbow, side elbow, and the up elbow. Now the side elbow and the round elbow are basically the same thing. The only difference is how far I pull that rear shoulder. The more I pull that rear shoulder, the more ability I have to slice down with the elbow. So if I don't want to slice down, I can just walk straight through, that's fine. But if I want to go around the guard, clear a hand, or in between the hands, you can rotate more, slice that down. So think of hitting with the tip of your elbow rather than your forearm itself. Anytime you're throwing an elbow, once again, you got to breathe and you got to guard high with the other hand, because if you're in elbow range and you can cut them, they can also cut you. So I want to start out of range. I'm going to do the lead round elbow to start with. Out of range, out of range. I need to step in, guarding high, back out of range, okay? Step in, out of range. Now make sure you don't lean. If you got to clear a lot of distance, it's okay to push off with both feet. So range. Now the movement's the same with the side elbow. Okay. Now from the rear side, there's going to be a little more rotation. Make sure to stay guarded. Slice across with that elbow, whether you're doing downward or horizontal. So next weapon is the up elbow. I'm going to step in the same way that I would with my round elbow, with my hands straight from the guard, elbow, point A, face, point B. Boom, right there. Boom. So no excess movement. I'm not drawing this arm back. I'm going straight towards the target. Make sure to get your range afterwards. So I'm out of range, elbow. Out of range, elbow. Okay. So next thing you want to learn are knees. There's lots of different knees. I'll show you the basic one. So the basic one, I'm going to step forward with one foot or the other, and I'm going to step slightly to the outside. So rather than straight forward, I'm stepping to the outside with my toes about 45 degrees, and I'm trying to bring this hip closer to the target, and I'm going to rise on the ball of my foot as I stab that knee in. Now if I throw the left knee, I'm just going to step across. Once again, toes to the 45, stab it in. So it's not just a leg lift, it's not just a hip thrust, it's both. So I'm stepping, my weight's transferring. As my weight transfers, I swing this leg to get it started. I want my foot tucked as close to my butt as possible. And as it swings up like a pendulum and it's pointed in the direction that I want to strike, I stab my hips in behind it. Now make sure that you don't overextend and fall forward. You want to be able to throw your knee, come back to stance. Throw your knee, come back to stance. Throw your knee, come back to stance. Don't overextend, okay? Now, what I'm doing with the hands is important. If I'm throwing my right knee, I'm guarded on the left. My right hand extends forward. If I had a person here, I would be pulling their head towards the knee. But I don't have a person, so I'm gonna tuck the bag and swing like that. So when I'm ready to throw my knee, make sure I have the right range. And I touch, stab. Balance, touch, stab. Touch, stab. Touch, stab. Now if I'm throwing the left, I'm going to be guarded on the right hand side, and I'm going to be extended with the left. So step, foot forward, touch, stab, back. Make sure to keep your chin tucked. Don't rise up too much. You can get counterpunched. Now using this touching hand can also help make sure that you're in the proper range to land your knee. If you can't reach it, you're probably going to overextend in the process, okay? Make sure to get your range afterwards, okay? Now, next weapons, we got Teeps. Teeps are a long range push kick. You can do it from the lead foot, or you can do it from the rear foot. Generally, the lead foot's going to be more defensive and the rear foot's going to be more offensive. So for the lead foot, the most basic way to do it, I'm going to take my weight, shift it onto that back leg. I'm going to be guarded to start with. Bring my left knee up high. I'm going to keep this right hand guarded. I'm going to swing this left hand down as I thrust my hips forward and bring it back. Make sure to balance just like the knee. You don't want to overextend. That way, if you miss, you're still able to defend whatever you got to do. Now, for the rear, I'm going to take a step forward. I'm going to line my hip up with the target. My thrust and come back. You'll get more power on this one, but it's a little bit slower. So to start with, lead one. Shift my weight back. Stab. Come back. Keep my range. Make sure you breathe. One arm guards, one arm swings. This is a long range weapon. You want to be able to throw it with balance, so even if you miss, you can still be ready to respond, right? Now if I'm going to throw the rear side, I'm going to step forward off of this angle, just like a lot of our other techniques. Bring this knee up high, and we're thrust in while guarding with my left hand. So you'll notice that if you kick it off center, the bag will spin. I just did that a moment ago. So a good way to practice your Teeps is to switch, alternate left and right. Try to get that range down, try to get that balance down, and try to keep the bag going straight backwards rather than spinning. Like so, left, right. Call that juggling the bag, okay? Now next, let's talk about the round kicks. Round kicks are absolutely crucial in Muay Thai. First, I'll do the rear round kick. I'll do it low to start with, and then body height after. For the low, I'm gonna step in, toes off to 45, like I'm turning this corner. I'm gonna keep a long, straight, extended leg. I'm gonna be striking with the shin, and the left hand's gonna be guarded when I'm throwing this right kick. And because the low kick is often within range of a counter punch, I'm going to frame off of them with the swinging arm. So I'm going to try to block their guard with this other arm as I throw it. So I step, weight sinks a little bit, the body turns this direction, guarding hand swings, elbows tucked into the ribs, hands guarding the head. Swinging arm is trapping their guard up top. Make sure you exhale. Always back to your stance and balance. All right. Now, the lead low kick is a little trickier. You can do it. The most effective way is to scoot this rear foot in, and you're going to replace your balance real quick, like a pendulum, right? As you do that, you're going to whip your hip and just land that shin right in, right? So it's nice and quick. Switch, boom, back. This is going to be less powerful, but it's fast and tricky. Right. Last technique for now. Round kicks to the bag. Body kicks, okay? Body height. So everything's going to be the same as the low kick for the most part, but instead of sinking my weight down, as I step off to that corner, I'm going to allow my weight to rise on that ball of the foot. That'll help me float my hip in. You want to be sure not to turn your hip too early. If I turn my hip too early, the kick ends up a little sloppy and open. If I don't turn my hip soon enough, the kick comes upward, it lacks power, I'm open to counters, and you're going to be landing with the flat of your shin. None of that's good. So what you want to do is bring the kick up, and then at the very last second, rotate your hips in so you stab with the blade of that hand. Now I'm still going to be guarding the same way here. This arm's going to be swinging for counterbalance and power. This is going to be a further range attack, okay? So step, back to stance. Okay. Easy peasy, always balance, breathe, range, okay? Now, next is the switch kick. People have different ways of doing the switch kick. There's plenty of ways that some people might say are wrong or right, but they can still be effective even if they're technically incorrect. Now, the basic switch kick, what you want to do, most people tend to switch both feet at the same time, but rather than hopping, I'm going to very quickly bring my weight to the rear leg, slide my lead foot just behind the heel, transfer the weight to that foot. Now I can take that step forward into my lead kick. It happens very quickly. So to slowly exaggerate, step, step, kick, back to stance. Step, step, kick. That's better than jumping, okay? Like, once you start catching a little bit of rhythm and flow, you can speed it up, okay? Now, when you do the switch, if you want power, you want your toes off to 45 degrees, and as the kick rises and turns over, your hips rotate. That's the technically correct way to do it. Now, another way I like to do it, I got from studying bull cow, is technically incorrect slightly, but it ends up with a much faster kick. So you lose a little bit of power, but you get speed. I think the trade-off is worth it. So rather than step with my toes at 45, and then rotating while I'm up high, as I switch, I already have this foot rotated outward. Now this loses me a little bit of the hip torque on the kick itself, but because I'm already pre-chambered, it's very quick to get that kick up, right? So I like this one because it's speedy as a counter to punches. If you're throwing slow kicks, I don't care how heavy they are. If they're too slow, you're going to get beat to the punch by the punch. Sometimes you need speed. That's the speed version. And then power. A little heavier, a little slower. Always range, balance, breathing. Okay? Hope you learned something. Hope you're able to follow along. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Right now, I just want you to keep it basic. There's so many details. You don't want to think about everything at once, especially at a beginner level. So think about balance, think about breathing, think about range. All these techniques have an ideal range. And if you can master that, you'll have an answer for everything, okay? All right.